not able to capture much of what you see, but we're gonna go catch a little bit of this next dancing going on right now.
When you come up, you have to lay your shirt out like this flat. I'm actually going to have, y'all going to run it with me. So watch me do the first one, so you get up, you can get your shit right. Well, if I was selling this screen that I'm getting ready to do, I sell them for about $200 or $300. Pick it up. It's getting better and better. Oh, there you go. You got it? Oh, you want to push with me? Come on. Push. All right. Okay, let me finish.
I don't want to mess nothing up. Go down that way. Yeah.
Pick it up. Come on with the next one.
Be nice one. Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't let it, yeah, keep it as medium.
Go to right. I think you know what I meant.
Well, that's a good one. Put that shirt on there. I'm going to try one more anyway.
Oh, one more?
Come on. See, told you.
Thank you.
Come on.
The paper from the, look at that green pad right there.
I'm done.
What's up, it's your boy Cody here, Chi-Town.
Some studies show that our life expectancy is starting to go on the decline, while others still show that it continues to grow. There's actually some reports today that say anyone born today will live well into their 90s. That's going to be the average. But the retirement age, for the most part, has not changed. We can still retire at 65. We may not be able to draw that full Social Security check. They try to give some incentives to work until you're 66 and a half. But you can still draw your Medicare benefits. So people are using the benefits longer, and with all the advancements in modern medicine, they're figuring out ways of keeping people alive longer with chronic conditions. So we're using more Medicare dollars, but we're not paying into it any longer. So it makes sense that there has to be some sort of government mandated healthcare reform so that the Medicare funds are not depleted. So that is why we have healthcare reform. So just so that you kind of have a background. And then there's some different dynamic changes too. For example, people are entering the workforce later. People are graduating from college and they're going to work for themselves, driving for Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats and all these different things, or they're becoming beauty bloggers. And don't forget to like and subscribe, right? So with everybody becoming self-employed, or if they were like my son, he graduated from college and thought he was going to be a stay-at-home son. I had to push him on out the door. So So anyway, with some of the changes going on, some of the societal changes, we have fewer people also paying into Medicare. So there has to be some reform. And so that's what makes it so confusing for you all when you go to sign up. Well, not you all, everybody here is young, but your parents and grandparents. When they go to sign up for their Medicare plans, it's very confusing.
Now we put music and hope that she will entrain, and she does. It is necessary, or even better, to use music with which we're familiar when rehab. She says, I'm going to try to make it better. She usually wants her chair after 10 feet. And she is walking right with the music. Now, watch out. It's almost there. Watch. She usually walked like this. And the physical therapist said this is the first time she's walked reciprocally, which means moving right in front of you. That music was given to me.
That's the kind of music you like?
Yeah, I like that funky. She's already asking, can I walk back to my chair? Interns all don't look like me. I've had maybe 2, 3 over the years that look like me. But when they find out and they learn our music, they can get the results that you saw with Miss Brown. Now, there's a certain link with the music that we prefer. Know that the music you like best is the music that works best.
Watch his mouth.
So you're pretty frustrated, aren't you? I'll tell you what. Do you know the song, Here Comes the Bride? I said, okay, may I have your hand? This is something, and I put myself in the educator's, the learner's seat. Not let me show you, but could I just learned something and I've never tried it. Would you mind telling me what you think? So here's the way it works. I do, here comes the bride, here comes the bride. And I didn't give her any eye contact because I knew she didn't want to look at it. And, I said, so if you want to, you can sing along with me. And all that went to this. What does she have? All the what? Vowel sounds. Now, listen. I said, fantastic. Do it with me again. Here comes the bride. She did it. Here comes the bride. Here comes the bride. So I'm going to change it to water, please, so that it changes into something communicative. So I said, okay, so we're going to do water, please. Then that way, when the nurse comes in, you can tell her what you want. So she can. So, water, please. What is she going to have trouble saying? Please, absolutely right. It's a blended syllable. She couldn't do bride. She won't be able to do please. So this is what comes out. water, please. And I said, that's just fine. The first time she did it, her nurse walked in. You know how they have the little plastic containers and a little tray with a little cup? The nurse walked in, it was full of ice, and the lady said, water, please. And the nurse looked, and water and ice went everywhere. And this lady, who was supposed to be so
This lady took me back to when I was talking about me going through cancer and was sick every day. But every time it's time for me to do my gig, I wasn't sick. And now it kind of ties into here. That was back in 2011. Now here we are in 2019, talking about something that happened to me 8 years ago. How I felt like music saved my life when I found that bag at the end of the 7-day cruise, and it turned the bag over and it said, "Music saved my life" by the American Cancer Society. Wow.
What's up, it's your boy Cody here, Chi-Town.
Oh my God. That's what plant-based living does for you. It does, right? I would definitely do that. Because I've been eating plant-based for a year and a half. What about you ladies? Did you introduce yourself? I'm good.
I am Coach Caprice, the founder of Key Street Fitness is in Homewood, that's the south suburbs of Chicago. Hey, Chicago.
My name is Letitia Ashley Washburn. I am the founder of Licious Juices and Booze and Wellness out of Charleston, South Carolina. Been eating plant-based foods for over 20 years.
I came behind that beauty. Keep it small, and I'm also known as Comedic Yogini, and I started plant-based movement, or holistic movement called the Comedian Movement, and also a culinarian, and so birthed out of that was a business called Plant Chips.
I went on a journey because I was diagnosed with epilepsy due to some tragedy that I turned into triumph. I had to learn how to love the foods that love me back. And while they are talking about how long they've been plant-based eating, I decided to not be meatless but eat meat less. So I have a different perspective on this panel. And so the foods that I was eating, I bought a book called Treating Epilepsy Naturally. So what was going on in my brain is called misfire. Seizures happen because of misfire. So when there's inflammation in your brain, it's called, what foods am I eating that are causing inflammation? So I don't want to eat foods that are causing inflammation in my body. So I need to eat foods that are reducing inflammation, that are fighting inflammation, that are fighting mucus, that are fighting these things.
Yeah, you can find out more about Bruce's story in her book, which is
it's called Prayers Up, Weight Down.
Yes, it's a great book.
Yeah, you can call me Tish. That's easier. Like I said, I started my journey with plant-based foods over 20 years ago. 1997, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So that jump-started me to do some research to see why she had cancer, because no woman or anyone in our family history ever had cancer. So I started doing some research and realized that it was the foods that we were eating, the processed meats, the dairies, even the air quality. So at that time, I couldn't change, environmentally what I was intaking as far as air. But I decided to take control of what I was putting in my body, and that's when I eliminated meat. So I did it in a stage, I did it in a transition. I cut out the pork first, the beef, the chicken, and the fish, because I still felt like I needed animal protein. Kept studying, kept learning that dairy did not agree with me. So I started eliminating the dairy, the caffeine, even the wheat, and found myself on a journey in 2011 where I was a vegan. And I don't like to put titles on things, but sometimes, we have to find categories for people to understand where you're at in your journey. In 2013, in a car accident. So with that car accident, I sustained multiple fractures to my face, to my shoulder, to my ankle. Had a major surgery on my face where now I have a titanium plate to save my right eye. And I had a rod and 12 screws in my right ankle. And so I'm laying in a hospital bed, and the doctors, are saying that you're not going to really have a full recovery. We're never going to be able to take the metal out your ankle, out your face, and we need to go ahead and do surgery on your shoulder. Which I know that God designed this body to heal itself if we put the right things in. So when I had been, practicing for over, 18 years, at that time probably about 15 years, but I had been practicing, I had to use it in faith and practice. So I knew that I had to start using food as medicine. And lying in that hospital bed, that was the decision that I made. So I juiced for 3 months straight. And I only intook only living foods. So when I say living foods, it's plant-based foods, but it's not cooked. So I wasn't cooking the life out of my foods. I was getting the living enzymes that I needed to heal on a cellular level, to heal from within out. And the doctors were amazed at how quickly I made a quick recovery from my injury. I was actually able to take the metal out my ankle 10 months after that car accident.
My journey started when I moved out to California to go to school. I was an athlete. I played at a Division I school, volleyball, and I was completely a foreigner as far as being from Texas and being from San Antonio, that makes the top 5 fattest cities in the country happily every year. And being from a family that food was the center of what it is that we did and how we communicated and socialized. So I actually got sick. My dad and I thought we were like some for real grill masters. Like Weber really needed to have a show about us. We made our own rubs, we marinate, we do beer stuff, and then we had people over. And I was transferring from Louisiana State University, going out to the University of San Francisco. We had a barbecue. And we had, there was never pork in our household, so I didn't grow up on pork. It wasn't anything that I needed to give up. But we had beef, we had venison, we had all types of other things. My mom was Jamaican, we had goat. And it wasn't anything I hadn't eaten before, but for some reason, my almost 2 days flight back to California, because my mom worked for Southwest and I flew standby, I was sick the whole 2 days. And it was the type of sick that made me talk to God. Like, I was like, if you just let me get through this. I had never had the flu before. I never had a cavity. I never had anything happen to me. And I know it's because we grew up with real food. We grew up with gardens. We grew up with herbs. We grew up with spices. And we even grew up with meat that was either kosher, halal, or was fresh caught. So I was, in my opinion, a super healthy person, and when I had that reaction, I can't say definitively it was to me because no one else got sick. But it definitely opened up my eyes. And from that point on, I was in an environment with people who lived that type of lifestyle. I was in Northern California, and shout out to the tree huggers. I realized then that whole vitamin D milk wasn't my friend, and no one else around me even drank Coke. Like, they thought I was an alien. The understanding about a holistic self, meaning that healing from the inside. Okay, I didn't even put together the food piece for a while. So I'll just be honest in saying I knew I felt better when I went back for my last season. I had a broken ankle that I played on a broken ankle for, I would say, 20 games out of a season. If you've ever seen volleyball, one match is 3 games. Yeah. And I was jumping, it would take my leg up. So the testament to mind over matter and having a body that's equipped is a real thing. And so I knew the value and the power of having a fortified body. I didn't know the value and the power of using the food to release and really do some soul work. But the number one thing he talked about was cancer, and I can't use the terms that he said. If you've ever heard his albums, it's not appropriate. Dick Gregory basically said, why do, insert a Dick Gregory word, want to eat for taste when the N-word needs to be eating for health? And he said, we love collard greens, but we cook them down to nothingness. I was cured from cancer with collard greens. He said, look at you. You all inflamed. I come from 4 hours of yoga. I had been doing a juice cleanse. And I was like, drink Greg first. Like, you don't know me like that. But you know what? I listened to everything he said. That night I went to the Shrine of the Black Madonna and I listened to his talk. And after that, I stayed in touch with two of the brothers that were there. Sunshine has reached out to me. It expanded my world. And something that Jackie says, super profound, is you start taking a responsibility for things beyond your own health. So it is true that them tree-hugging vegans are weird. All of a sudden you care about the earth. All of a sudden you care about recycling. All of a sudden, because all of these things are connected. And that is a holistic life. I started using greens, collard greens, is my primary green for juicing. It is the highest in calcium and fiber. And I have not eaten a cooked collard green in quite a long time. Do I still get down during the holidays? Sure, but I make my own pie because I don't want you putting stuff in it.
And what are some other things, ingredients that you all lean into for healing your body? Turmeric. Turmeric is a big one. And talk about what the benefits of turmeric.
It releases inflammation in the body.
Yes.
You can add it to your smoothies. You can add the turmeric root to your juices. Cook and stir fry with your sauces, your soups. You can even take a teaspoon, add a little bit of dates. I'm real big on dates as a natural sugar, because dates give you fiber and iron. So you can blend up a little bit of turmeric, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of dates, some coconut water, coconut milk, and drink that.
Yeah.
That releases inflammation.
So a kale salad, y'all ready? If you didn't get time to write it down, your neighbor is gonna help you. Kale, lentils, cranberries, lemon juice, pecans, and garlic. So the reason why I wanted to give you a recipe is because sometimes we get so inspired at these things, but we don't know how to take action.
Right.
We don't be like, what do I do next? You can do this for lunch or dinner.
Superfoods, they are naturally occurring. Moringa is a superfood. Spirulina is a superfood. Jackfruit, believe it or not, is a superfood. These are plants that are naturally occurring in nature that are so highly fortified in minerals and nutrients and vitamins that we need. And they are quickly turned around because they are in their purest form. And so when we talk about mental health, a lot of the things that are additives, like my mother was diagnosed with MS some years ago, and one of the things that she has done to increase her mental acuity is to just give up things that come in a box. Because the process of processing food itself means that it comes into contact with a lot of additional irritants, and there is not enough regulation. The U.S. puts a lot of labels on things to make you have a false sense of comfort. So we really are crazy from most of the food that we are eating. The FDA will allow for, it has a threshold on things as disgusting as rat droppings in a warehouse. So there's a threshold on that. They can have like up to 2 milligrams of rat droppings, and you're still good. It doesn't have to be listed on the label. So
that just changed everything.
Yeah. And so when you talk about a superfood, you're giving yourself a boost of easily processed vitamins, minerals that your body is in need of. And your body can take those in that form and do something with it. And most plants are higher in protein than meat sources. And in addition to being higher, they are faster to metabolizing and assimilate. Yes, so your body knows exactly what to do. It will send everything where it needs to go, like on a super highway. Meat is probably an old dirt road and topography that looks like where we just left. It's a mountain with no cutout road, a lot of trees, brush, thickness. It takes a lot to get to the final destination. So the superfoods can be a boost if you're not quite at the point where you know other sources for getting these things. That's a good place to start. So look into your moringas and look into your spirulinas. Look into actual plants that come just packed with everything you need.
I don't eat until about noon. Because you're breaking a fast. When you're sleeping at night, you're fasting. And we're breaking our fast when we're waking up with the wrong things. Eggs, bread, bacon, sausage, potatoes, heavy cereals. And you need to be breaking that fast with light fruits and fruit juices. And when I say fruit juices, cold pressed homemade juices that you make in your juicer every morning, or have enough for 3 days in your freezer or your refrigerator in mason jars. And then you start building the day with, your fruits, and then by noon you eat a salad. But those fruits that you're eating in the morning, that fruit juice that you're drinking in the morning, that's going to give you energy. It's not going to crash you. So if you're sitting at your desk and by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, you sleep. You got the itis.
But for those who may let's say start slow. Let's say they're not ready to start off eating.
Right.
I agree with you.
So
let's say some oatmeal.
Some oatmeal with some fresh fruits and some dried fruits. Make a salad in the morning with fruits.
Yeah.
So you can have a fruit salad in the morning, and then in the evening have your vegetable salad with your dinner, with your vegetables, with your steamed vegetables. So just don't overthink it. Go at your pace, like Jackie said. Go at your pace, but just think healthy.
What's up, it's your boy Cody here, Chi-Town.
If you want to go vegan, my suggestion is find out what sauce do you like. Do you like barbecue sauce? Do you like soy sauce? Do you like whatever? Find out what sauces you like. Make yourself your sauce. If you have a good sauce, you can stick your shoe in there and it'll taste good. It's true. Open them up, drink coconut water first thing in the morning, internal cleanse, internal shower. And so that's it. I'm not going to take up any more time. That's it.
I think that when you're transitioning, it's hard to just go so hard because everyone can't do cold turkey. Yeah. So if you can't be meatless, eat meat less. You following me? Yeah. You can't be meatless in the beginning. Eat meat less. You don't need to eat meat 3 times a day. You don't need to eat meat breakfast, lunch, and dinner like every day.
And you don't need to have a huge portion of
really
meat. You know what I mean? Make your portions of meat smaller. And I tell you, I bring, because ginger is really great for seasickness, motion sickness, which I get extreme motion sickness. So every year I bring a huge bag of my own ginger, and you'll see me, anybody who sat next to me in the dining room, I bring my own little peeler, I cut it down, I take a bite of food, and I have ginger tea that I bring with me on the boat. So I have a bag of ginger, and for me, it's to me, when you decide to be plant-based and when you decide not to have meat in your diet, you almost have to treat it as if you're allergic to those things. Because I was at the Mongolian walk and I was watching it, I got all these fruits and vegetables. I was so excited with the rice noodles and everything. And right when I gave him my food, he dipped down underneath and put something in the bowl. And I was like, what is that? Chicken broth, chicken stock, chicken broth. I was like, no. And it may make you feel like, I'm just, just go ahead. I said, no. I'm vegan, I don't eat meat. And what he did was he washed the wok out, and he went and got water and he steamed it inside the wok instead. And you have to be mindful of what's going on around you. I eat a lot of oatmeal. I do let myself eat more soy than I usually do on this boat with soy milk and things like that, just because last year I thought I was going to die. But I called ahead before we got on the boat and I let them know that I was vegan. And if you let the chefs or the maitre d's know in the different eating areas, they will make an effort to fix you something special. I've had wonderful food on this boat just because I was like, hey, I don't want meat, and they will make the effort.
You were saying that with the juicing with fruits, what if you're a diabetic? You know, and my husband is a diabetic. We're decided we're going to start trying to juice. But the fruit juices, I'm just really concerned about that.
Dilute.
Yeah.
Dilute them.
Dilute them?
Yes.
How much would you
So like what?
Depending on the portion of the juice, I would say maybe 2-part water, 3-part juice. I have some information actually in my juice book. I have a juicing book upstairs, and it tells you, explains how diluting is important to keep the sugar. Also, eat with your juices. That stabilizes your blood sugar from rising. So eat something, you know, eat a sugarless fruit, cucumber. If you're going to do a fruit juice, eat a cucumber that's less sugar, has no sugar.
Okay, so you're saying eat the cucumber raw. You're not talking about
everything's raw. Yes, eat while you're drinking your juice to stabilize your sugar levels, but dilute them.
And we're going to have diabetes. I was going to say that since diabetes is so rampant in our community, I think that none of us should leave without starting a list of low glycemic foods. Because typically we will accept something saying that, oh, I live with a grandmother that would say this. She said, you know, my sugar just is so high. But low sugar feels the same as high sugar. Right. You start getting lightheaded, and then you go grab something to bring your sugar up, and you have completely sent yourself into a tailspin. So getting rid of white starchy potatoes, replacing them with sweet potatoes, along with some root vegetables, and there are low glycemic sugars too. So have a list of low glycemic foods that you know. She talked about her grocery list. Everybody has got to get a beneficial food grocery list, the things that you're looking to heal in your body. And one other thing, this is actually a challenge. We've gotten off the boat. I've gotten off the boat each time, and I have seen how we really revel and enjoy shopping. You know, as humans, it feels good to reward yourself. Consider taking some of your meat budget and putting it aside and make a wish list of tools that will create the convenience. The sister over there talked about her busy life. Most of us do have busy lives, even as retirees, we're busy. And so start a budget. You can actually start a jar, physically take the money. If you normally buy, you know, at Costco, really good meat for yourself, take that $10 or $15 and put it in the jar. Get yourself a Vitamix, get yourself the tools, get a juicer, get things that will bring the convenience into your life for what's important, in the same way that we reward ourselves with other things. Because trying to start all of these practices without the proper tools, you will feel defeated, you will feel discouraged, and you're likely to not continue in it.
So I sold insulin, yes. Lantus and Apidra, and one of the things that we would tell some of our doctors and some of the patients is once your A1C is over at 7, it's like shards of glass shooting through your bloodstream. So one thing you want to do while you're on this cruise is make sure you're checking your A1C on a regular, every single time, and if it's over, make sure that you're doing the proper things to bring it down. So, and then I have another statement, I'm sorry. So one of the things when I went to my plant-based diet, one of the things that I did, I took a cooking class, and the instructor said make sure you have 3 recipes that you could do that are your favorite, that you could do anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And in terms of salt substitute for a diabetes patient, so I wanted to know if you guys have 3 favorite recipes that are easy for people to do, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the thing that I learned from Dr. Sabi, I follow his stuff religiously, is he suggested instead of oatmeal, because oatmeal tends to have a lot of wheat in it, he suggested Kamet cereal, which is an ancient grain, and it's even better. And I know you said you do soy sauce every once in a while. The better substitute for that is actually coconut Bragg's amino acids. And the way that I season a lot of my food, whether it's greens, whether it's vegetables, whatever I'm making, I do a lot of cauliflower mashed potatoes. Dr. Sadie says not to do that, but I do it sometimes. But for my substitute and seasoning, I use coconut Bragg's amino acids. You can get it from Trader Joe's. And I do cayenne pepper because cayenne pepper is going to be a good fat burner.
Yeah.
nutritional yeast is good. It doesn't taste as good, but I like to season my food with that. So that would be my question to you ladies. What would you say would be 3 recipes, like your top 3 favorite recipes that are simple and easy to do?
Okay, thank you for your panel. You made a suggestion for people that are suffering from being anemic, and I didn't hear the suggestion. Can you tell me?
Beets, spinach, things with lots of iron. Vegetables that have iron in them are good for people with anemia. Just look for those ingredients that have high.
Yeah, I do beet juices, but you can do pickled beets. That's not really my ministry, but that's why I do beet juice, because it tastes better.
Keeps me awake, and I've been trying to get away from it, and I just don't know what else to do.
Isn't green tea, doesn't that have caffeine in it?
Yeah. So caffeine it has benefits, so let me start there. Caffeine does have benefits. It is naturally occurring. Coffee is very high in acid, and when we talk about acid and alkaline living, we have so many things already that are contributing to acidic levels in our lives that having one more thing consistently that's acid. So if you could manage to have coffee that is prepared a very specific way, slow drip, cold press, I mean, it takes a barista at your house every day to have a low acid coffee. However, it's dehydrating. And so that's a greater concern, is your dehydration, even beyond the caffeine, because there's caffeine in chocolate, there's caffeine in green tea, there's caffeine in a lot of different things. And going back to what's been said before, we're all in these progressions, right? So if you're looking to step yourself down, dandelion root has a really kind of earthy taste, and I know a lot of coffee drinkers that use it as their transition. And it's still warm. Molasses, having a warm drink. My parents used to make what was called molasses coffee for us, and it was all mental. As little kids, they had coffee, and it was creamy, and it was a pretty color. They would take molasses that has a little sulfur, it's naturally sweet, it has iron in it, right? It has potassium in it. They would put molasses in hot water, and then they would use a little bit of whatever our milk was, whether it was almond, coconut, and it would look the same color as coffee. So if you're practicing, you have to ask yourself, if your daily practice of drinking coffee is a routine of having something warm, some of us drink it for our elimination because it helps encourage us to go to the restroom. It may be a practice, it may not, it's a placebo for some people. Other people are caffeine dependent. And if you are, like any other dependency, you have got to get help. You don't want to just wake up one day and say, I'm done with coffee, without having something to balance yourself out or being in a safe environment. You know, so the lightheaded, the detoxifying, feeling that you have, to include, take coffee out of it, insert just fasting. We talked about the Daniel fast. So you have to give yourself something that will fortify you in place of. But technically coffee, for most of us, we're walking around, if this is the board, we're below the board in so many different categories, starting with hydration, that coffee's just not ideal.
And as a substitute, Google herbal coffees. There's some herbal coffees out there that will wean you off. Coffee break.
She's saying Cafix. C-A-F-I-X. But if you wanted to transition, so like you were talking about, you're breaking that fast in the morning, there are, what caffeine is doing is giving you energy. So we're talking about eating foods that are revitalizing you. There are 4 different foods, there are a number of different foods, but there are 4 different foods that revitalize your energy, being apples, kiwi, spinach, and strawberries. Like these, they boost your energy in the morning. Apples, kiwi, strawberries, and spinach.
What's up, it's your boy Cody here, Chi-Town.
Well, Stephanie and Floyd Rance are, like Brenda said, the brains and the heart and soul behind the Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. They presented this since 2002. Stephanie is a marketer with an entrepreneurial spirit, and Floyd is a film producer and cinematographer, and together they make a dream team. Which and you need that for founding and running a successful film festival. After 17 years of this film festival, it's become a cultural force in nurturing African American voices in the film industry. And Diddy's has been proud to partner up with you guys, along with Tom Joyner Foundation, and creating a future filmmaker scholarship to benefit young filmmakers and HBCUs. Give them a big round of applause. Just give real briefly. Give them just a brief background on how you got into film before we get into the festival, just so they know.
Yeah. So I'm Stephanie, thank you. And number one, I want to thank Denny's for bringing us on this cruise. They are an amazing partner and brand. Brenda, April, and the whole team and their agencies have been fantastic to work with. So I started my career in the music industry. I started as an intern and worked my way up in the A&R department. And that's artist
It's a tough job. I remember being an intern.
Yeah, I was in this before they had rules for interns. They did everything. But it worked my way up, and then just was always in marketing and public relations and things like that, and had a love for film and music. And like Floyd said, one day he was working on a film in Barbados, and I'm the kind of person, I went with him not to chase him, but I was like, it's a free trip to Barbados, so let me go to Barbados.
Yeah.
And something went off in my head, and I was like, oh, I think I might have something here. So timing is everything in life, right? So I met with I said I'm going to the tourism board. So I met with them in New York, and at the time they were trying to get more African Americans to come to Barbados because it was more Canadians and Europeans that were going there. So I came up with these ideas, and one was a film festival. No idea how to do a film. I never even, I don't even know why I thought of this. And then they bid on it. And we were going to do it, and like Floyd said, 9/11 happened, and we quickly shifted and moved it to the Vineyard, and it's been 17 years. So my love of public relations and marketing and working for corporations just led me to kind of do this. And I also felt that, I was in corporate America, and I was doing this at the same time, and a mother and a wife, and it was it was a lot. It was really, really too much. And then what the light bulb that went off in my head was, I was recruited to another state to lead digital marketing, and I was doing, if I do say so myself, a phenomenal job. Meeting with the CEO, I'm on that track to get up to the top, and then an opportunity was supposed to happen for me. And everybody knew I was going to get this job, and I was, trying to be modest, like, oh, well, no, I don't know. It's nice to be nominated, whatever. So my boss at the time pulled me into a conference room, and he said to me, I'm going to tell you something. You're not going to be happy about this. And I'm like, what do you want to tell me? He's like, well, we gave that position to somebody else. And I said, well, maybe it's someone with 30 years of experience, and I can learn from them. Like, I'm cool with that. I can learn. But he gave the job to someone who had absolutely no marketing experience at all, and he wanted me to teach her how to do the job.
Wow.
And and it's interesting, I started the festival because I left corporate America, because I knew I'm a huge type A person, my husband can tell you, and I knew I couldn't give 100% to someone else and to myself, so I chose myself. So I left corporate America to raise my kids. But in entertainment, you gotta be relevant, right? It's like, what have you done for me lately? So that's how the festival came about. So originally, the festival was supposed to be something to get me another opportunity, not realizing that the film festival is the opportunity. So when that happened, my boss at the time said to me, and we're gonna make the announcement. So this was Thursday, he told me. So on Friday, he says, and I want you to come to the town hall and welcome. And her name was Becky, by the way. That
was my question. That was my next question.
But she was black.
You felt
No, she wasn't.
There are black girls named Becky.
And my mama named Becky.
So I said to him, oh, I won't be here tomorrow. And then he said to me, oh, that's right, Stephanie, you told me you were taking Friday off. I said, no, I'm telling you right now, I'm not coming in. So I didn't come in, and then I left the company and, been focusing 100% on our festivals. And, because of that, last year we got our Academy Award accreditation. So we can submit films to the Oscars. So we're happy about that.
This year, we are 17th year. So we've been at it a long time. And there's a few different stories, but I'll tell you guys this story. My wife was doing an activation on Martha's Vineyard. Me and her used to summer there. When we were dating, she would take me there to kind of woo me.
We would summer on the
Let me finish. She would take me there because she was trying to woo me. And so we'd go up there. But long story short, we did an activation for Martell Cognac, and some filmmakers came, and they screened their films. There's a theater in the center of Oaks Bluff, and the line was around the corner. And so she had inspiration and said, I'm going to do a film festival. And I was like, great, let's do it. And originally we were going to do it in Barbados. I was doing a project in Barbados, and she followed me down there.
How the story.
I can't go to Barbados by myself. So she followed me down there, and originally we were going to do it in Barbados, but 9/11 happened, unfortunately, and so that shut off all international travel. So we said, hey, let's just do it in Martha's Vineyard. So that's how it happened in Martha's.
So that told Floyd and I that, wow, this is really needed, that these filmmakers need an outlet to show their work. The first year we did the film festival, and 10 people came. And I was devastated, right? I'm thinking, and we had sponsors. I had like AOL Black Voices, and I had Martell, and I had Showtime or whatever. And thank God they didn't come. So I was devastated, and Floyd, was like, you have 5 minutes to cry, and you can either give up, or we can figure it out and make it better. So that's what we did, and here we are 17 years later. But it was a lot of work. It's not.
Okay, now you've done so much to nurture. I didn't write this question. It said minority filmmakers, which I don't like using the word minority because there's nothing minor about us. I don't use that word. So young black filmmakers.
Okay.
Through the years, why is that important to you to have our voices, our stories told?
Well, it's important for us to see ourselves on the screen. That's first of all. We need to see ourselves in front of the camera and behind the camera. It's very important. It's important for us to provide opportunities for each other as well. And I'm sure you're familiar with this. As you climb the ladder, you got to bring other people up the ladder.
Absolutely.
So coming from where I come from, I was presented a lot of opportunities, as I mentioned, Mr. Lee and Ernest, et cetera, et cetera. And so my job is to further it along, to present opportunities for other filmmakers that have come along, because we don't always know how to get there, but we got to find each other and help each other out.
Now, you could have, given scholarships to HBCUs, just any type of scholarship, but you really wanted to focus on filmmakers.
Right.
And so what was that decision like? I mean, was it just like, no, instead of just sending them to college, like, we're going to make this about filmmakers? Is that
Well, everything happens. I believe the universe works when it's supposed to, everything happens in time. So as Brenda was saying, she had come to our festival. And it's really funny about the festival. Like, I don't know if you guys have been to Martha's Vineyard. There's all types of people that come to the vineyard. They're dressed just like you guys. So you'll be walking down from Circuit Ave and you're like, is that Eric Holder in a t-shirt and bass? Like, you just don't know. So Brenda's been coming forever. We didn't know her. And then all of a sudden, Denny's reached out to us and they were like, we need to be a part of this. This is it follows our mission statement. You guys have the values that we want as a corporation and for our team members in our restaurants to have as well. And we found out that they were doing this foundation for filmmakers, and we were like, this is exactly how we're aligned and what we believe in. And with Floyd going to an HBCU, I didn't, unfortunately, I do regret that, but I didn't go to HBCU. But we felt that this is a great opportunity to help African Americans who want to get in the arts, and to partner with a company that's 100% committed to HBCUs and to people who want to explore a field of study in the arts. So it was a really great marriage.
And
that speaks to us.
And that's the thing, because you think Denny's, you don't think, film. Did that raise an eyebrow like, what the hell is going on here? Film and Denny's.
No, we said it's a perfect fit.
Any job come from anybody.
No, you know what it was? I'll tell you. Okay, so I didn't know Denny's was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. That's their headquarters. And I didn't know that there were so many people of color there. So when April Drummond Kelly, right over there, head of diversity and inclusion, reached out, I was like, oh my gosh, she's a sister. This is fantastic. And this is what I want to do. And I realized that there are so many people of color in executive positions there. That spoke to what he and I believe in. And then I'll tell you a story, Brenda. So when they came to the festival last year, if you could imagine this setting, our theater seats 900, and we had over 900 people there, and the opening film was with Spike and Black Klansman, and he brought the entire cast or whatever. But before that, we had Denny's come speak and announce our foundation partnership. So at first the audience was like, Denny's, Martha's Vineyard. They're like, what the hell? They were like, Denny's, okay, whatever. And I was like, oh, shucks, man, this has got to go well. It's our first partnership. But you know how black people are. We get in our feelings. And so then all of a sudden, this black woman walks out. She's a black woman and she's bald. So the audience went, Wakanda forever. They saw Miss Brenda Lauderback and they were like, Denny's.
They got on board.
And they got on board. So, after the festival, we would get all these emails that I shared with them that, that was amazing. We didn't know Denny's had all these African Americans there. We didn't know that Miss Brenda, who was the chair of the board of Denny's, get it straight, is leading this corporation. They thought it was just amazing because people will tell you how they feel. And they tell us about our partners and who they like and you know what I'm saying? And so they really were impressed and happy that Denny's doesn't just want people to eat at their restaurants. They want people to realize that they care about the community that they serve and they care about HBCUs.
Now, how important is it to change the culture of how we're depicted in films? I mean, a lot of times it's sort of racist a lot of times, and a lot of stereotypes and things like that. When you're getting submissions from young filmmakers, how important is it to get something that's out of the box or doesn't reinforce the same stereotypes that we've been put in over the years?
Well, we get a lot of we get the whole spectrum. We get 360 degrees. And since it's a lot of independent films, we are telling our story. So we're not here, it's not, the idea is not created in a corporate office where you're not going to have, women or people of color telling those stories. So these are mostly independent stories, and so they are conceived and created by young filmmakers who are, trying to get opportunities and trying to get their name out there. So a lot of the stories we get LGBT stories, we get female stories, we get male stories, children's stories, we get all kinds of stories.
Now, is the festival broken up into comedy, drama?
No, what we try to do is put everything on the plate. And so you could sample everything. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I considered that, but no, we don't section it off like that. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There are different sections for different things, award ceremonies, etc. But we don't break it down into whatever family section, kids section, comedy section.
What about time? Like shorts versus 4
minutes? But it's all on the same place. So the day might start out at 11 o'clock, and then we go up until probably about 9:30 p.m. After every 90-minute block, there's usually a Q&A. After every short film, filmmakers there, they get up and they get some time to speak to the audience and answer some questions.
Okay. For a lot of people, Black Panther felt like a cultural watershed for African American cinema. Did it seem that way to you guys?
Say again? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It hit the mark. Hit the mark. For everybody, I think it touched everyone's soul, not just African American. I think everybody was just like, wow. Amazing.
And I think what sets our festival apart, I believe all film festivals are important because everybody's all over the planet, but our festival really is for filmmakers and about filmmakers. We are not a celebrity Gawkfest. That's not what we do. You know, because it's about the filmmakers, right? So because we feel like, okay, if Denzel's doing a film, everybody's going to go to Denzel's film. But if you're doing a film, no one's going to come see your film because they don't know.
They're going to come see your film.
Unless Denzel. Well, they're going to come see your film.
They're going to come see your film. Don't worry about it.
You know what I mean, right? So.
Now, what she's saying is that it is a very welcoming environment.
Yes, it's welcoming.
It's not separate. Everyone is equal.
Everybody's
and if
VIP.
Denzel does do a film, he'll be walking around and you won't even know Denzel's around. So, as she said earlier, you know, from Eric Holder to
which year?
Not this new one, unfortunately. Not that junkie, but the former Attorney General Eric Holder and all the political figures from D.C. All kinds of folks have been there, and if you're familiar with Martha's Vineyard, you're bound to find, walk up on anybody. I mean, when Barack was in office, he's never been to the festival. When he comes, you do know he's in town, that's for sure.
How many filmmakers we have out here right now?
All right, good deal.
Okay,
good deal.
We don't open up for Q&A.
Sure, go for it.
Yes, I want to know, as far as the scholarship, is there an age limit on it? Is it just for high school students or is it open to anybody?
I would have to get clarification on that, but I do think it is for people who are in college and possibly maybe their senior year of high school.
My name is Carolyn Rivers.
Hey, Carolyn.
Hi. My question is this similar to the Sundance Film Festival?
Yeah, absolutely. We just focus on black film, not market film.
It's not 20 degrees outside.
It's not 20 degrees.
Sometimes it's too hot. You know? It was like 100. It felt like 100 degrees last year, but it was nice.
But I'm sure Sundance started just like, you know.
It did.
Absolutely.
I mean, for an film festival, and it grows with over the years.
It did. Now, the difference is that Martha's Vineyard is an island, as you know, right? So if you haven't visited, it's an island. What's really great about it, and what's a good fit, is that it's a very entrepreneurial island. So there's no corporate entities on the island. They might have one or two. I think Stop and Shop is there. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs there. So all the coffee houses, all the restaurants, they're all entrepreneurs, right? And then there's not a lot of hotels. There's like maybe one or two hotels there. So there's a lot of Airbnb and bed and breakfasts.
What's the average of submissions you get for the film festival?
Well, submissions are open right now, so we're almost at 300 submissions, and they end the end of May. So we look at all the films and make our decisions. But the film festival, so last year, for example, we opened with Black Klansman. OWN did Greenleaf, they bought the cast, and they did Love Is. We showed The Hate You Give, they bought the cast, and it was fabulous. Barry Jenkins came, which was fantastic, and we saw some of If Beale Street Could Talk, so that was really, really, really beautiful and a perfect fit. We had an Angie Stone concert last year. BET did Being Bobby Brown, bought the cast. HBO's done Insecure, they bought the cast. And then in between all that, we've got about 65 films from independent filmmakers that we show, and a lot of filmmakers who you've heard of now have come through Vineyard, and we still keep in touch. So it's really it's wonderful. Yeah, it's great.
Where you from? Any question?
So this year it's August 5th to the 10th, and our website is mvaaff.com. Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival.
So I've seen you all grown over the years, and I noticed that with the news picking up all the new sponsors of like HBO and BET, and I was wondering if you could talk about how you made those connections. Like, is it something that you sought out, or did they come to you? Or
all right, it's all about connections and everything. I'm not going to tell you make a sponsorship deck and send it to the head. It doesn't work like that. It's all about networking. With him being in entertainment and me, we knew a lot of people already, and it was just a fit. HBO's been with us for 16 years. Netflix has been with us, Amazon Film. So it really is about, once one comes on, then they're all like, oh, I need to be a part of this too. And then the one that sort of happened by osmosis was Denny's. But like I said, Brenda has been coming to the festival unbeknownst to us. So it was great. It was definitely a fit. But I would just say it's all about getting out there and networking and, providing a need that these companies need.
Well, to piggyback, I would say, reputation is everything, right? So, reputation is everything. So, if it's a good event, then it really starts to snowball. And if the spirit is good, then it starts to snowball. So if you have good energy, positive energy, then it starts to snowball and things start happening. Because people talk.
Especially on Martha's Vineyard.
Now, question. Question?
I just want to say it was for freshmen. The scholarship was for freshmen through seniors at HBCUs only. Right.
Of the 300 submissions, how many do you select each year? I guess do you have a cutoff with short and long, and I guess kind of for sake of time?
Features. The documentaries will probably have about, I don't know, it could be anywhere between 5 and 10, and then the shorts, it depends again because they're different sizes. So you could get a 5-minute short, you could get a 30-minute short, right? So we probably get about, I don't know, maybe. I'm guessing 30 to 40 shorts that we will accept.
Now, are they judged the same? The 5-minute short and the 30? Are they just in the same?
If it's good, it's good.
Right.
You know, if it's, what happens sometimes is that, whatever's happening in the country, sometimes we get that theme of films, which is interesting. So it's hard. So like this year we're getting we always get this, a lot of like police brutality type things. And it's tough because you want to pick the best one out of the best, and it's when they're amazing films, it's a no-brainer. Our team looks at it and they're like, Floyd and Stephanie, accept this. It's when they're in the middle that makes it sort of tough to say if we're going to show it or not.
Right.
But typically, whatever's happening in the country are the type of films that we get as submissions.
What's
This
the
year we're getting a lot of LGBTQ films. And we're getting a lot of what's interesting this year and the past 5 years, we're getting a lot of films by white filmmakers who are doing films about black content, but they're really good, and they have a black cast and a black crew. But we've accepted a lot of films by white filmmakers this year, which is interesting.
What's the craziest submission you got?
Oh wow, this is a great question. And I wish we could show it. People think differently out there. That's one thing you learn. My favorite though was this guy. I think he might have been from Philly. He sent in it wasn't really a film. It was like he was making tilapia with butter. So he wanted to show how he could make tilapia with.
What?
Exactly.
Was that John Witherspoon?
That's one of my favorites.
The unknown artists, if they should enter into your festival and they have great work, what is the benefit to them to be a part of the festival, and how does that launch a career for them?
We give awards out. HBO gives a cash prize out to the winners. We give tons of awards out, and then it's the networking as well. Like a lot of filmmakers partner with other filmmakers and screenwriters. It's all about the network. And what's interesting is that our festival has created a path for other avenues for filmmakers. So with this Denny's scholarship that we're doing, we're looking for filmmakers, and that content will be shown on our digital channels and Denny's digital channels. We're doing a contest now with Arizona State University called Race and Sports, and we were looking for filmmakers to talk about how sports brought about social justice. It's a contest, and someone's doing one on Jane Kennedy and black surfers and so on and so forth. And that content's going to be shown on their digital channels. So a lot of corporations are looking for video and film to help gain exposure on what they're doing. American Heart Association. So thinking beyond Netflix, HBO, Showtime, there's companies with tons of money, and they want people to know what they do. And they're really understanding the power of digital marketing and the power of video. So that's a huge outlet for filmmakers to take advantage of as well.
Right, but just to piggyback on that is that young filmmakers, they need to have support. They need support, and they have to support one another. And they need to talk to each other. So the young kid from Charlotte who might not be surrounded, because birds of a feather need to flock together, right? So they need to get together. Even if your film is not accepted, they would still need to be there to speak to that maybe older filmmaker and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and try to make that connection. And this only makes your work get better. They've got to want it. It's not going to happen automatically. And unfortunately, you have to fail. You have to fail in life, And as she mentioned earlier, I wouldn't say we failed, but it didn't go the way she planned it, right? So it's like, hey, it's okay, shoot again, take another shot. So that's what they have to learn. And a lot of times people don't want to learn that. They don't want to hear no. They don't. The guy with the tilapia movie didn't want to hear no.
I had a question. How many students submit their films from HBCUs?
That's a good question. We don't have that. We don't have that line on the like. What school did you go to? We don't have that on there. So, but I would say we do get a lot of HBCU graduates who submit films. I know what happens is typically a student might go to an HBCU and then they might go to grad school at like whatever USC, NYU, and then that's where they kind of like hone their craft. And then they submit their film. And we usually find out just by talking to them, or they might wear some paraphernalia or something along those lines.
And what also happens, sometimes universities reach out to us and they'll tell us, that they have a bunch of film students and they'll submit there was a school in Florida, I don't remember.
That was Florida State.
Florida State did that, and then we get Morehouse, and Floyd spoke recently at Howard University with the head of the communications department, and we're going to be doing something with them. So schools reach out to us.
Yeah.
And NYU, we get a lot of films from NYU students.
What's happening now is that since the landscape of filmmaking has changed, and the cost of making it is a lot more accessible to just about anybody, a lot of the students at some of the small HBCUs are putting their name in the hat as well. So it's not just Howard University, as she mentioned, Morehouse, Livingstone College. It doesn't matter. If they have a thirst and a hunger to learn and to become filmmakers, then they can make it happen. I mean, there's a website, it's called the Inkwell, and sometimes you can just go on there and be like, hey, I'm gonna be there August 5th to the 10th, I'm looking for a place, and somebody will get back to you and take care of you. But it's really about finding a spot to stay. Now, if I had to recommend a spot, I would say the Harborview Hotel is located in Vineyard Haven. It's on Main Street. Oh, I'm sorry. It's in Vineyard Haven. Harborview's in Edgartown, as I said. The Mansion House is in Vineyard Haven, and the Mansion House is where we originally started at the film festival. It was in a little conference room, just like this. It wasn't no bigger than this, just so you know. And Stephanie would be in the front. She would do the greeting, and I would be in the back. I would basically press play. So she was pregnant, so then I press play and then run and go get her something to eat. And then come back and do that, and then do the Q&A, and then so that was how the whole thing pretty much started. It was no bigger than from that pole to maybe that glass thing right there. It was a little hallway that we used to just run back and forth. And from there, we just kind of kept doing it. But her being pregnant, and that's 2 kids. We have one in a stroller and then one in the belly. So I have a great picture with her breastfeeding early in the morning. It's beautiful. Breastfeeding both kids, actually. Over here early.
But that wasn't a website. The Inkwell is a Facebook group.
Facebook.
It's a Facebook group called the Inkwell.
And I want to go back to the selection process. Sure. Do you have like a committee or group who goes through all of these submissions?
Yeah. So we have final say on every film that gets shown. We do have judges. And unlike other festivals, we watch every single film that comes in.
And it's a diverse group, right? Because
it's
a diverse group.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No. It's people in the industry, and it's regular people who like watching films. It's friends, because taste is subjective. So.
Good.
Yeah, it's just a really tough process.
It is.
I mean, if you can imagine, it's really tough. And then what happens is that things repeat themselves. So, she might do one on whatever, police brutality, she might do one, and then you might do one. So we got 3 of them. So you have to decide, okay, well, we can't keep showing, police brutality. Because you know what? Those type of things affects people's moods, right? No one wants to see lynchings, and no one's, you know what I mean? It's like, so we want to educate folks, right? We want to learn about things we didn't know about, right? And we want to touch the soul. We might want to make you cry a little bit, make you laugh, right? Things of that nature. But I don't want people just down, like, oh.
Right.
We had a film one year. What was it called? My Slave Master, My
Something like that.
Heavy. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, you don't want to see people in bondage.
No.
Right. She said no.
Not on the
We got enough problems of our own, right? We want to be happy. And the other thing is, just like here, there's a lot of women, right? So, girl power.
If I wanted to attend the film festival, how do I ensure that the money that I spend there stays in the community? Is there a network of black vendors and businesses?
100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We tell all of our attendees, all the African American owned shops to shop at, all the African American owned B&Bs, and we're giving back with filmmakers. We're receiving awards. We give money back, and with Denny's as well, with our HBCU Foundation. 100%. We're all about giving back. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good question.
And 2 years ago, we were awarded a citation from the state of Massachusetts because our festival, I'll share this for you, and I don't want, we helped put Martha's Vineyard back on the map, right? There's a million other events that are happening at the same time we're happening, right? So the state of Massachusetts realized that when in August, their money is going up, so they awarded us with a citation telling us that, they've seen an increase in about 25% in dollars on Martha's Vineyard. So it is helping black businesses out as well.
Anyway, my son is 22 years old. He was a 5-year MBA student, and he graduated from Hampton, and he's in Charlotte, works for Central, one of those financial groups. And he called me one day and said, Dad, I like my job, but that's not my passion.
Right.
I want to be a filmmaker.
There it is.
And 22-year-old, he went out and bought his film, and he did the casting, he wrote the script, and he made a movie.
Right.
And he's in Charlotte. And I just came in and I heard he got from Charlotte to them. So what does he need to do? He just done it, got on YouTube. What does he need to do, and what would your advice?
The first thing I would say is, don't be discouraged, don't quit. Like, it's going to be tough. And I would say he has to surround himself with, like I said, birds of a feather. So he has to be in a creative environment. He has to set himself up with creative environment. Now, if those people aren't in Charlotte, he needs to find them, either online. He needs to find them. It's almost like an addict trying to recover. You have to surround yourself with sober people, right? Otherwise, you're going to start using it. So he has to surround himself with creative people. He needs to be in a creative environment. That's the first thing I would say for him. Even if he goes to New York on the weekend and just walks around and tries to stumble upon people or try to reach out to people via email or via social media. He needs a mentor. He needs someone who can, just tell him stories or whatever, just to keep him in that mindset. He needs to go to films. He needs to watch films. He needs to watch any and everything he can watch, because that creates inspiration. I don't know if he's a writer or not. Everybody's different, right? I don't know. You mentioned he wrote. So if he's a writer, then he needs to try to find out really where his strength is, right? Some people are excellent writers. Some people are bad at directing. Some people want to try to do all three. I would tell him to focus on one thing for now. So if it's writing, focus on writing. If he's a director, if he wants to focus on directing, just try to do anything that's going to lend itself to directing. So if he wants to work in plays, if he wants to do shorts, a lot of people put in things on the internet now. They're doing a lot of creative 30-second things. I watch those things all the time. There's probably some people in Charlotte that he can partner with to do little short films. As a matter of fact, I know a few people in Charlotte who are doing things, but he just needs to be in that creative room chatting with people. He might even want to consider possibly going out to LA just to be in the environment.
And he should volunteer at the festival.
Right.
Because we have a lot of college students who volunteer, and it's funny, we know someone, and they became friends. The gentleman's son was in Morehouse, and same thing, he majored in something else and realized filmmaking was his passion. So his dad reached out to us. He had been to the festival, and we were like, sure, he can, fill out a submission. And he became a volunteer and met so many people, met other film screenwriters and directors and producers, and he's doing his thing and he's making films. So yeah, please have him fill out a submission form and volunteer at the festival this year.
Yeah, it's a. I'm sorry, it's a start, right? He has to know that it's a journey, right?
What's up, it's your boy Cody here, Chi-Town.
Come on, y'all, let's go.
I'll tell you what, y'all, we got some special guests in the house. This is John Valentino. John Valentino, where you at, man? Where is he? I want y'all to give it up for John Valentino from the Whispers in the house, man. 2 times. Just come on up here, man. Baby. Big baby, come on. Y'all give us a big baby for the SOS band in the house. Y'all give us a 2 times from the SOS band. JJ, what's going on, man? What's up, man? What's up? I tell you what, we want to pay respect for all of the musicians and artists that are in the house, man. Y'all give it up for them. Master Prince. We love you. give it up for Sultan from the SOS band. Y'all give it up for Mr. John Valentino from the Whispers. Y'all give it up for JJ from Maxie Priest's band. Y'all give it up for Max. Y'all give it up for Big Baby. That's my boy right there. From the SOS. Brother, man, on the guitar, y'all. Give it up for Mr. Rod Abs on the guitar. I want y'all to pray for my cousin. I hope he's okay, y'all. Mr. Tony Blaine on the keys and vocals, y'all. Tony Blaine. Y'all give it up for Jordash on the keyboards over here, y'all. Jordash. The heart and soul of the band, y'all. One of my best friends from high school, y'all. We've been together a long, long time. Y'all got to give it up for Mr. Byron Fuller, y'all. Byron Fuller on the drums. My name is Paul Rogers. All together, we're one band, one sound called Natural Change. Now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys, especially the ones that's been coming every night. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And every once in a while, if you don't mind, just keep us in your prayers. Is that all right with y'all? Okay, now, with that in mind, I've got one favor to ask of you. And it's simply just keep God first in front of everything, and you won't want for nothing. Is that all right with y'all too? Right. We are Natural Change, man. Tom Joyner's Fantastic Voyage, 2019, that's 20 years. Y'all give it up for Tom Joyner.
Boy Cody here, Chi-Town. Let's step with it. 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 Get up. Get back. Let's go. Come on, let's bounce. Come on. your boy Cody here, Chi-Town. You know we dance with it, skate with it. Now let's step with it. Let's go. Let's step with it. Cross it up. Let's step with it. Reverse it back. Let's step with it. Shuffle to the side.